What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1083 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I hope you guys all had a fantastic weekend. I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Monday. I know it's a big surprise to see me like this.
Wait, so is that one permanent?
It is not permanent.
Okay.
I mean, nothing that you do with your hair is permanent.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, it's like...
But no, it's not permanent. I must address, obviously, the fact that my hair is pink right now. And it's because after much trial and error, I finally unlocked the perfect shade of pink that I was looking for after all this time. And it is going to go away after I wash it a couple of times because it's not real hair dye, but
you look like you look like you'd have a Ruth Bader Ginsburg sticker on your car.
Now, I think that's an outdated stereotype, Brett. Truly, I expected better from you.
I'm sick.
In the Big 26, do we still think hair dye is political? I don't know. I feel like we're kind of past that.
Okay, so maybe not so much that it doesn't indicate that you might be a right-wing person, but you can be a normie and have colored hair, sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Olivia did it. What's the difference?
Well, hers was like at the tips, right? And that was like that was also like a bet, I suppose.
Oh, it was because of a wager?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
I did the same thing after she did, but nobody... well, some people actually did have a problem with it.
Well,
I have been called a commie by somebody in the chat today, which is, I guess, to be expected.
We before we get started on everything, let's read this $20 super chat here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, "No niceties today, Brett and Mary. I received an update. David, king of the PCC chat, is not a bypass candidate and was sent home as nothing can be done. He does seem at peace with it. But keep praying for our OG guest, our OGest OG crisis actors." Yes.
Pax.
Yes.
Yeah, we absolutely will pray for David and everyone who's a praying person in the chat, or if you're not a praying person, you should as well.
Yes.
Very sorry to hear that.
Very sorry to hear that. And thank you, Shane, for the update. And Dave's hang in there, man. Like, it's just we're very we're praying here. Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. What are we getting into today? We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. It is a Monday, after all. It's a short week this week. I suppose we should mention that before everything. Because when you do a job like this, you got to do like 30,000 updates so that every single person can hear.
The pressure is mounting for the 250th birthday of the country.
Do you have like big plans for 4th of July?
I don't have any plans yet, but like everything that people do here for the 4th of July in general is like touristy and super expensive. Like, you have to buy tickets to like some stupid thing. You're going to end up around a bunch of like smelly strangers. So I'm probably just like gonna hang out at someone's house or something chill, like, I don't know, barbecue or something. But
so just as a heads up, guys,
gotta get out of the city.
We are off on Thursday and Friday this week because here at Timcast we celebrate 4th of July. We celebrate America's birthday each and every year. The 2nd of July, the Thursday, is my birthday. So perhaps Wednesday we'll do a Brett's birthday episode, and everybody can, it'll be my birthday week. That's what it'll be. It'll be my birthday week. We know how much I love birthday week and birthday month here at PCC. So just a heads up, we will be off.
Almost your birthday month.
It's almost my birthday month, just a couple of days away. So
wait, you're not actually going to stream on your birthday, are you?
I was thinking about it, and then I was like, nah. Like,
I think it would be better to just relax, have some you time, Brett. You deserve it. You've earned it.
Well, we're going to see Young Washington that weekend. We were originally going to go see it that day, and then I told Mike I would do his show, and I didn't realize it was on my birthday, so I have to figure that out as well. But no, I think I'll take the day off that day, because if the company was working, I'd work. But since everybody's off, I'll take it off. But yeah, so just stay tuned, guys. We will be off Thursday and Friday, but we are doing shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so you shan't go without all week. So don't lose it, okay? It's gonna be fine.
Relax.
Relax. Okay. What are we getting into today? Well, we are going to talk about Supergirl. I've been making endless videos about Supergirl. I've got a couple of more videos that I want to make about what the hell DC Studios is going to do going forward, and we'll get into a little bit of that today. But we are going to talk about some of the fallout of Supergirl and some of the misinformation and back and forths going on related to the box office and its projections for this movie, so stay tuned for that. We will get into it. We're also going to talk about Netflix doing what Netflix does, and that is to cast things poorly, in this case in the most recent Avatar that they're doing, and I'm sure that Mary has deep thoughts on this because this is your franchise. You're a fan.
Yeah, I would say I am a seasoned fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, not to be confused with Avatar.
Yes, the other
franchise. I just love that we're living in a reality again where Avatar: The Last Airbender content is being released simultaneously with Blue People Avatar content, and nobody knows who's talking about what.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably going to be overshadowed by just about everything else because the casting is horrible.
Also, guys, you've heard of Batman vs Superman, but have you heard of Manlets v Hiplets?
Guys, if you're unaware of the term hiplet, it's a new slur that's been discovered. You don't create new slurs, you discover them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically manlets getting revenge on all of the women that have rejected them for their height and turning the tables on the woman.
I don't even know what a manlet is. It's just a short guy?
That's a good question. Actually, maybe we should make this into a poll because it's debated whether someone is a manlet if they're still under 6 foot but above average height.
Okay,
I believe the average height in the U.S. is what, like 5'9"?
5'9" for men, 5'4" for women, I think, or 5.
That might actually be 5'3".
5'3", it might be
for
5'3"
women in the U.S., but it's like 5'8" or 5'9" for men. Some people would say you're still a manlet if you're above average height but under 6 foot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Should we poll the audience on that?
Yeah, but you're gonna have to tell me what the hell that means as far as the phrasing on this. Like, what do you want the actual question to be?
That's a good question. Okay. Why is it so complicated?
Is it what
How do we do this in a multiple choice format?
What makes you a manlet? Being under 6 feet or being under 5'9" or under 6 feet or something?
That's a good way to phrase it. Yeah. So what makes someone a manlet or short king, if you're trying to put it charitably,
AKA
being under 6 foot or being below 5'9", if we're going to say 5'9" is average.
Under 6 feet. Or, okay, here we go. Or
because
under...
people are very passionate about this issue.
5. Keep going.
If you ask me, I think the ideal height for a man is probably the average height in the US, but you know, I don't know. It's I think it's blown way out of proportion how much women take that into account in terms of like their dating prospects.
In the chat, Spike, he asks a good question. He says, "Why do we care?
Why do we care?
We care
because we care because things matter in the world, and if they didn't, we wouldn't do a show about it."
There you go. All right.
Okay, things matter, and I care deeply about everything. Okay. It is that deep. It always is that deep. Okay.
So we've got that, and we've got other stuff. Are you ready to go?
Yes, let's go.
Let's go for it. Time to dunk on Supergirl again.
Yeah, we might be beating a dead horse a little bit, but the box office numbers are in for Supergirl's first weekend in theaters. They have earned $38 million domestically and $68 million if you count the total global box office return, which was well below even the bleak predictions that we were seeing last week. I think that it was predicted to open to 50 million, approximately.
If you were
and
to
it didn't
listen
even
to...
beat out Morbius, which is legendary as a flop.
Yeah, I mean, but now they're gonna have to like it's super time. It's super in time. Supergirl in time. I have no idea. But the so the box office projections, I'll never forget the COPE article that said 50 to 55 million. But 70 million if the walk-ups are really good. The only way it's going to hit 40 million if it has horrible word of mouth and terrible walk-ups. Well, it had horrible word of mouth and it had horrible walk-ups because it did not, and it was Cosmic Book News that was predicting under that. They were predicting 39 million as the floor for this, and they were almost spot on. I mean, they would have been, I suppose they would have, actually, no, they would have been eligible if this was The Price is Right, right? Because they would have been over. Or no, they would have, they would have been disqualified. If you go over in Price is Right, you lose, right?
Right.
Okay.
And keep in mind, this is on a production budget of $170 million and a reported $120 million that was put into marketing, which isn't that much higher than industry norm.
No, that's about right for a tentpole film. For anything 4-quadrant blockbuster, lots of brand deals and stuff like this. And look, I've already done videos covering all this. If you're wondering who showed up, the women folk didn't show up. The men showed up. They made up 60% of the audience. The women were the ones who were the most likely to give this a definite recommend, which I'm sure there's no bias there. I suppose that'd be like guys giving Drive a definite recommend, right? It's literally me. But the ladies didn't show up, and the young ladies definitely didn't show up, and this movie was marketed heavily towards young women, hence the Ulta Beauty tie-ins and the mental health like product tie-ins and all that stuff.
Mental health products?
They had like I'd have to go pull it back up again. Yeah, there was like I'll find it.
They have a BetterHelp.
Yeah, it wasn't BetterHelp. It was something similar, but like there was tie-ins like that. But I mean, there was tie-ins with KFC. There was tie-ins with
American Airlines was also mentioned.
There was tie-ins with pet food stuff like that because of crypto. There was all sorts of stuff here, and so the production, the P&A marketing is actually probably spot on for that. I guess we don't really have to go into big detail about how much money this is going to lose, but right now what you're seeing are predictions from Variety saying that this movie could lose $100 million at the box office. That does not look to be accurate. I've got a couple of tweets here if you're looking for an example.
So they're saying it could lose double that.
No, they're saying that the loss will be 100 million. Yeah, they're saying
other
200.
People are predicting a double.
This is what Variety said. They said it stands to lose. Let me pull this up here, make sure I've got everything. Yeah, okay. So it stands to lose $100 million after opening to just $68 million worldwide. The DC Studios tentpole cost $170 million to produce and roughly $120 million to market. A source close to Supergirl says that the movie would need to gross $300 million to break even at the box office. Some project the film's losses to be closer to $80 million if ticket sales can manage to hit $200 million. There was a quote here. It says, this was always going to be a tough hurdle for DC and Warner Brothers because Supergirl isn't a character that has ever created an event-level blockbuster, said analyst Jeff Bach of Exhibitor Relations. The audience perception of Supergirl was not good. This is just the case of a film that wasn't good enough to become an event. Valiant Renegade answered and said, your statement makes zero sense. If they spent $170 million on production and $120 million on global P&A, then they would need to make around $600 million at the global box office to break even, unless you want us to pretend that theaters aren't taking any cut of this film, the average being roughly 50%. The losses will be around $200 million if Supergirl manages to get to $200 million at the box office, which it won't get close. Yeah, so $290 million is about what you're looking at for the production budget for this all in if you include the marketing, which means that's their final spend is about $290 million, which means $290 million times 2, because as always, you split it with theaters, comes out to about $580 million. Half of $300 million, which is what they're saying, wouldn't even cover the production costs nor the marketing. Now, the claim they're making is that a movie like this would need to make about $375 million to break even. I'm assuming they're trying to do this as if it's just the production budget, but that doesn't make any sense either, because $170 million production budget, which is always done at times 2.5, is about $425 million. If they're taking off the 0.5 in there and saying what their excuse is, they're saying that sources close to the production are saying that Supergirl has a lower break-even point than a typical film because the production cast and creatives don't have back-end deals, probably because none of them believe that it was actually going to make enough money to trigger the back-end deals that come from something like this. Sally Choi is screaming to the high heavens right now about all this. But Odin from OMB Reviews is the one who had the tweets that I sent you earlier. Says, lies. $300 million as a gross global box office break-even defies logic and basic mathematics. A movie that costs at minimum $290 million with the budget and a minimum marketing combined. Studio only gets 55% of the domestic box office and 40% international. That's where people even it out and just say 50 million overall. There is no way that can work, that you can make that work financially with just theatrical. The movie is likely to lose at least $200 million. And then he had this one from before, and I thought this was very interesting. So if you're a numbers person, you might find this fascinating. It says, after talking with Valiant Renegade about this, it seems that the break even about this that has been thrown around for Supergirl, supposedly only $315 million, might actually be an honest statement with caveats. The reported net budget after tax credits from the film, according to Tony at Deadline, is 170 to 186 million. The projected marketing cost 100 to 125 million or more. If we take these numbers together, and that get us to the total cost of Supergirl being 270 to 311 million dollars, the reported break-even point of 315 million would actually make sense if they meant that to mean that the movie needs to net $315 million globally, which would make up an estimated $315 million in spending, meaning that, in conclusion, the only way that the movie can net $315 million is if the raw global box office total equals $500 to $600 million. So they're starting to play it fast and loose and assuming people don't know what gross and net means. All of this is kind of unimportant. What really matters is that when it becomes a discussion about this, it means that nobody cares about the movie. It means that Creme wasn't interesting. It meant that Supergirl didn't resonate enough with people to dominate the discussion, so the box office kind of takes its place.
I also just wanted to mention that Variety went so far as to claim a source close to Supergirl puts the film's break-even number at closer to 300 million, which is even harder to believe than the claim of 350 or 375.
That's where they got the number. That's where they got to the point about saying that not having back-end deals lowers that number.
That's why they disclosed Millie Alcock's salary. Yeah. She was paid $400,000.
That's about right.
Total,
That's about right. I remember
not have a back end deal.
I remember Robert Downey Jr. probably had something similar. Granted, it was in like 2008 money. I don't remember what he made for Iron Man 1, but it wasn't a ton of money.
And Variety
it was a ton of money, but for you or I, but not a ton of money for a Hollywood person.
Variety offers some advice. They say when studios do greenlight movies about comic book characters who aren't household names, like Supergirl, they'll need to economize on the production budget and marketing spend. Analysts say a film about Supergirl cannot cost the same amount as the next Batman or Superman, who are DC's two biggest A-listers. One reason why the 2019 Joker was so profitable was because the origin story about the villain was made for just $55 million. Box office watchers are encouraged by that DC's next effort, Clayface, carries a modest $40 million production budget. Superhero movies can still be marketable, but studios need to ask themselves, are casual moviegoers going to your film? And when you're spending $150 million to $200, it needs to feel culturally inevitable. Otherwise, smaller films with less risk is the way to go.
I actually am going to be doing a video tomorrow with Mike, because Mike's such a big horror movie fan, about Clayface and how my general idea is like get the DC logo off that poster. And don't market it as DC Studios. You can do that if you're advertising on comic book websites. But if you're advertising on like Slash Film or any place for horror fans, get rid of the DC branding and just market it as a body horror movie that's coming out the week of Halloween. Like, you've got something in there that could be done. We are in a renaissance for horror movies right now. They're the ones making all the money at the box office. Lean into the horror. Lean away from the DC of it all and the superhero of it all. Because he's a Batman villain. And there's going to be, from what I understand, no Batman unless they want to do... I said there's been some casting rumors. Like, maybe they make this guy... If this guy actually has been cast, Tom Brittany... maybe a post-credit scene, but I say don't even do that. Don't even acknowledge that it's a superhero movie, because Joker didn't need that. Not really. I mean, people knew based on the name Joker, but it's not like they leaned in heavily with the Batman elements with that movie.
Yeah. Variety has been capitalizing a lot on the backlash to Supergirl, by the way, because they did an interview, I think, a couple of months ago with Millie Alcock, that they're still recycling cherry-picked quotes from the ones that you've already heard and know about.
Christian dads
having this weird sense of ownership over women's bodies, and they're just reposting it
over the
constantly,
weekend,
trying to get as much engagement and clicks as possible. But on the other hand, to make matters worse, the New York Times is helping run cover for this bomb. And they actually got a quote from Peter Safran about the underperformance. He said, "While Supergirl didn't meet our box office expectations, it's just one component of a broader long-term strategy at DC Studios that we remain confident in." And of course, the New York Times mentions before his quote that they have to acknowledge an uncomfortable truth. Female-led superhero movies have been rejected almost uniformly over the past 5 or so years, perhaps reflecting a resurgent misogyny among the core fan base, which is largely male.
It was men that came out to this movie. Again, to the tune of 60% of the people that went to see this movie were men.
So if anything, they should be accusing women of misogyny here.
Yes.
But they say Supergirl became caught up in a now familiar cycle of online abuse, with some fanboys, and I swear, fanboy is a slur at this point, fanboys attacking Millie Alcock's casting and her appearance. Warner Bros. Executives said they were surprised by both the ferocity of Backlash and its reach, believing the culture had evolved past that sort of campaign.
I don't believe that they believe that.
So there was that. But also, I read through the Rolling Stone interview with director Craig Gillespie, or is it Gillespie?
I think it's Gillespie.
Gillespie and the scriptwriter Anna Nogueira. And they acknowledged the slow-mo action scene scored by a slowed-down version of Jimmy Eat World's The Middle with female vocals. Yeah. How did we end up with that particular song choice, the Rolling Stone asks. And Anna Nogueira says, "It went round and round, didn't it? There were a lot of options." Gillespie says that was probably the biggest discussion, and it was down to the very last week. So I've got to give James Gunn credit for that one. And people feel he said that to avoid backlash for that specific scene. He wanted to deflect the criticism onto James Gunn for that one, who was not present in the interview. But there were about 45 songs, according to this interview, that they debated choosing for that action scene.
Mary, it's a female movie, so it needs female musicians, don't you know?
Right.
The funny thing is, High Potential, for a long time, I had the sneaking suspicion that High Potential was doing this, where for like, because I watched the show on a weekly basis, so you don't remember everything the way you do when you binge stuff. And I swore I only ever heard female vocals on the show. Eventually that changed, and I started noticing that they were doing male singers too. But at least I could understand why they would do it. I think it's stupid, and I think it's an identity politics thing to do. But at least you can understand where they sat in the meeting and they came up with that dumb idea. But the songs they picked were catchy. This song in this movie is not catchy, and it does not work.
I think it says a lot that they chose the director of the live-action Cruella movie starring Emma Stone for Supergirl. And a lot of people don't know that because he's not that well-known of a director.
No, well, he did I, Tonya, and I said none of these movies denote the skill needed to direct a large-scale action movie.
Also, I must share this part of the Rolling Stone interview where they talk about the choice to show bodily functions in the movie.
More than once.
The interviewer says, "You made a point of having us see Supergirl pee and vomit. It seems like there was a very thought out thing that you wanted to have a human reality." And Gillespie says, "For some reason, it seems to be in every one of my films. There's just a reality to it that I like. There's a casualness, and it just grounds them more in the human world. It's like they have to have these functions. They have bodies." Anna Nogueira says, "I love how rugged it is. She's just so gnarly in that scene, and then just beating up these guys, and she's a mess." Gillespie says, "You see this undercurrent of recklessness and fearlessness, and oddly, it got a little bit of that fatalism, like the original Lethal Weapon, where he's suicidal and he's just got nothing that he's living for. The same with her. She just doesn't have something other than crypto that she cares about." Anna Nogueira says, "Agreed. It's like, if I can't save my dog, then I'm going to put it all on the line, because what else do I really have to go back to?"
Well, you've got a cousin that loves you. You've got like a family member that loves you. In fact, that's kind of even more morbid to think that you care more about the dog than your own flesh and blood.
And then the interviewer gets to the culture war, of course, saying, "I've talked to James Gunn about the fact that there are fans of the previous universe that have their daggers out for these movies. And in addition to that, there's been some culture war type hatred directed at this film for whatever reason. Do you just go in expecting that kind of thing?" Anna Nogueira tactfully phrases her response, saying, "I try to ignore any culture war aspect. And I do believe all of these people love these characters a lot, and they mean a lot to them and have for years, decades maybe. I just wanted to be like, this one's for everyone. We're just going to tell a good story, and it's not going to be an us versus them kind of situation. I want everyone to like it. From the whole spread of the DC fan base, we made it for all of them, and I hope they're all into it."
Then Millie Alcock said, "And I took that personal."
And then, of course, they get into praising Millie Alcock for being so real in interviews. She said, "I'm sure that's the person you've spent time with." Gillespie says, "She's so beautifully candid and honest and open. As a person, you see it in her performances. She channels that in the best way. I don't think you really want someone who's a press-trained robot. You got to be fearless about what you're trying to do, and that's what I think people respond to. If they see something that feels authentic and honest and has a strong point of view, you have to respect that."
No, you don't. Do you remember remember what I say every time Tom Cruise comes up and he does his thing where he says, "I'm so grateful for you guys coming out to the movies. I'm willing to be lied to. I think it's your job to lie. I think it is your job to feign a sense of humility and to feign a sense of deference to the people who are ostensibly trying to pay your bills, because the studio may pay you, but for the studio to want to pay you again, people have to actually come out and support it the first time." No, I don't necessarily want pure authenticity. At one point I will, when they're like, I don't like it when they lie about liking comic books. I don't like it when they're like, "Oh, I always wanted to play this character." I'm like, no, you always wanted a giant paycheck. Now, there are some, like the dude who played Deathstroke in the Zack Snyder movies, Joe Manganiello. He was like a lifelong comic book fan. You can usually tell when they are or they're not. But I don't need them to lie about it. Millie Alcock being like, "I didn't watch any of the superhero movies," doesn't bother me one bit. I don't care. I also don't know if I believe that this movie didn't fail because she said stupid shit on the press tour. Normal people do not know what celebrities say on press tours. Now, some normal, like, Republican, the Christian dads might know now because of Jesse Waters talking about Supergirl on Fox News. But as I was saying earlier, I oftentimes wonder what the Five think about the latest superhero movie. That's where I go for my genre entertainment news. No, this movie was never going to be a big hit. Did it lose some of its steam because of her comments? Probably because it was elevated, but I don't think it was ever going to do well. And the word of mouth was always going to be bad, because just because I thought it was a serviceable, like if I'm saying it's a 6 and I like everything, like it's probably not going to be loved by people who are a lot harsher critics than I.
Well, even if Millie Alcock's unwise comments didn't make a noticeable dent in the box office performance, do you think that if she made a positive impression on the press tour, that would have helped?
I guess. Like, I can't think of
I'm sure like Brie Larson turning a new leaf helped the performance of the Mario movie, although it probably would have been hit regardless.
That was going to make $1 billion either way, and it limped to $1 billion. I don't know. I don't think that played a role. She also was not the star of that movie, not inherently. I don't have any good examples off the top of my head about actors doing good on press tours as of late. And as you've heard me say a million times, I don't believe that that's always their fault. Quotes are cut up. They're devoid of context, and even though that oftentimes it can be taken in the worst possible way, the people who are going to take it negatively, they have had their minds made up beforehand. Like, they just have.
Millie Alcock is a far cry from a Rachel Zegler. Still.
Yes, in a lot of ways. So look, and her performance is what I praise the most of this movie. I think she is the best part of this movie. It's certainly not the needle drops or the toilet humor, which we'll get more to in here in a second, of all things. It was. I think it was her performance that really was the best, and it's sad to see. But I do have some hope for them going forward with Clayface. I don't think Lanterns is going to be a huge hit unless it ends up being unbelievably special and surprising a lot of people. It's a streaming release of a TV show, so I don't think it's going to have the same level of cultural significance. Clayface has an opportunity to do something, maybe not do something special, but to at least kind of maybe put a better taste in people's mouth leading up to Superman next year. So. Oh, by the way, before we move on, Robert Downey Jr. made $500,000 for the first Iron Man movie, but he ended up making about $2 million after, because he did have back-end points.
In 2008 money.
In 2008 money, he made $2 million. So he could already start building Downeyland out there with all right.
And good for him.
Let's move on.
In more revolting news, musicians are finally feeling it's time to call out their fans for disgusting behavior at their concerts, including open defecation. Olivia Rodrigo recently spoke on this issue. I think it was finally time to stand up for herself. She says some of her fans often wear diapers to keep their front row spots at concerts, and she can smell them while she's performing. How distracting when you're trying to perform at the top of your game and you're just hit with a wave of stench from the audience in front row.
Mary, I've been doing this wrong the whole time. Every time I go see a movie now, I'm dry because I don't drink anything because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom. Little did I know, I could just wear Depends to the next movie I go see. You know what? I'm going to go see, I'm going to see Oppenheimer. I'm going to see The Odyssey, Spider-Man, and Young Washington. I guess Odyssey, because it's going to be like 3 hours long.
See, just as Nolan expects the actors in his movies not to take bathroom breaks, he also expects the same thing of his audience. So she said some attendees go to extreme lengths to stay close to the stage throughout concerts and festivals. She said, I have been to certain concerts and festivals where people wear diapers so they can be in the front row of the show. And that has been an experience as a performer that I have smelled. Now, another musician who recently spoke out about this to his own audience is Noah Kahan. He said on Twitter, if you have to poop at a show, please, dear God, just go to the bathroom. LMAO. I have pooped my pants as much as the next 29-year-old. But you guys got to understand, there's a venue worker out there with a 1,000-yard stare after dealing with that. I shit myself on stage in Charlottesville, but that's because I'm dedicated to my craft.
Well, you know what? I bet you that was like a concert with more than one lead, and there was good people on both sides at that event.
Now, he wasn't saying this for no reason. To be clear, this is a response to a recent TikTok from a fan that attended his show in Philly, showing in the video someone's poop on the floor, scraped into the floor. Someone was trying to cover their tracks. Not very well, but Noah Kahan saw this TikTok and he was clearly disturbed by it to the point where he had to make a public statement at his recent concert. Here was him making his fans take a pledge not to shit themselves.
But please don't do it. Okay. I solemnly swear.
I solemnly swear.
I will not shit my pants.
I will not shit my pants.
And if I do, I won't take it from my pants and put it on the floor.
Okay.
And I did find a Reddit post from someone who claims to have attended this Philly show. They said, okay, so the person who did this was one row in front of me in section AA. I guess they didn't want to miss a couple songs to use the bathroom, so they just straight up shit themselves. Mind you, not liquid or anything in case anyone thinks this was an accident. And they started picking actual pieces of poop out of their butt and put it on the floor. She started trying to waffle stomp the turds and acted like nothing happened. But we flagged down security. One of the most unreal concert experiences I have ever witnessed.
I suppose you can't flag down hazmat, so.
And someone responded, for my own sanity, I'm going to pretend that's some copy pasta. I am sorry for everyone who saw it.
There's a $20 super chat here from Pop Culture Junkie, mercifully interrupting this, saying, you get a bunch of drunk studio PR handlers in a bar, and the conclusion always is the same. A star doing stupid shit on a press tour can hurt you. Good behavior can't help you. You missed a previous super chat, by the way. Oh, I did miss one. I am so sorry here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, a lot of noise at Warner's how short a leash is gone on with speculation who would want to replace him. There's a rumor Lucasfilm producer of recent Disney Plus series has been approached. Not Favreau or Filoni. Wow. Can't confirm yet. I don't know why in God's name anyone would think somebody doing the Disney Plus Star Wars shows would be a better person for this. That's what this movie looked like. It looked like somebody pissed in a toilet bowl and swirled it up. In fact, Supergirl looked like somebody made it with the ingredients from this concert that we're talking about.
Yeah, we got a lot of toilet stuff on the show today. Apologies for missing those chats.
Sorry
earlier.
about that.
And I'm going to give us a throwback to the Eras tour of 2023, when a fan claimed, I'm wearing an adult diaper to Taylor Swift's concert. The rash is worth it. And there were several fan testimonials about doing the same thing. I have no idea why you would wear a diaper to a concert, or not wear a diaper and shit yourself anyway. But I most of all don't understand why you would broadcast that decision to the entire world. I guess they're proud of it in some perverse way. Like, it proves their dedication to the artist. As a super fan, this is how you prove your bona fides as a dedicated Swiftie. So they say, unwilling to miss even a second of their idol's highly acclaimed tour, diehard Swifties are voluntarily wearing adult diapers to the singer's concert stops, soiling themselves rather than stepping away from the show to use the restroom. The diaper rash and trench foot was worth it for this moment of Taylor Swift looking right at us, wrote a superfan known as Kaylee, 23, in the caption of herself and her screaming friend at the Gillette Stadium performance in Massachusetts this month. In a separate clip, which has garnered more than 265,000 views, an equally enthusiastic Swiftie is seen struggling to fashion a pair of large white disposable underpants underneath her mini dress ahead of the showcase on May 18th.
I feel like you have to choose between the two. You can either wear one-time use diapers or you can wear a mini dress. You can't do both. Pick
How about
one.
we just not wear diapers if we're not in need of them due to old age or illness? She said it's the most durable and the most absorbent. Yeah, she's giving tips to the fellow Swifties on which adult diapers they should purchase. For the amount of stress and time that it took me to get Taylor Swift tickets, I will be getting an adult diaper because I am not missing a minute of it. This is sort of a symptom of the overpriced dynamic pricing, ticket gouging. Don't think this level of desperation is necessary, but
if they liked Taylor Swift so much, they wouldn't make her smell this stuff. So
another Swiftie said, I knew I saved my postpartum diapers for a reason. That's crazy. See, imagine it would be even worse if they attended one of the meet and greets, though. Like after the show.
I'm going to be on IRL tonight, and I'm going to be staring off into space, and they're going to be like, Brett, you paying attention? I'll be like, what? I'll have 1,000-yard stare because of this.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's not.
People have just, they've disposed of any pretense of self-respect and dignity.
Yeah,
and
like
decorum at this point. It's over.
You'd think that they could have a little bit of self-respect and at least not share this with the world.
I wouldn't even do this to meet the Pope. I don't care who it is. I'm not wearing a diaper. No.
Yeah. Okay.
And I saw tons of like articles out there giving advice to festival goers on which diapers are the best. Like, I don't know why you would opt for this if it's not absolutely necessary. Like, unless you have a health condition, there's no excuse for this behavior. It's also just so rude to the people around you.
Yes.
But I guess that doesn't matter. I don't know.
I've lived 1,000 lives today. It's time to move on.
We've now lost all faith in humanity before the cringe of the day.
Okay, yeah.
I'm impressed by myself.
Let's go to cringe of the day then. Let's just do it and get it out of the way. And that way we can be done with this stuff for now. And it's a Taylor Swift cringe, it looks like.
It is. Yeah. Just so happens to be a Taylor Swift cringe. Prepare yourselves.
Well, what if it's an airplane and it's going zoom?
He's like, $2 billion. She's worth $2 billion. $2 billion.
And it's landing.
That one's for you,
It
Brandon.
landed safely.
That one's for you, Brandon. I love Indian food now.
Well,
He didn't like Indian food before, but he's having his horizons expanded from chicken nuggets and chalky milk.
No, look, the comments are full of Swifties saying, like, you don't know the context. It was an inside joke, whatever. I don't care what the context is. This is not okay. I'm not okay with this. And the caption makes it even worse. Are parents keeping us fed with this content? Mm-hmm.
My hope is that she does this to him, like when they're at the long table at their wedding with the cake.
He might even be in a hyper.
No, maybe what he's doing, this is all part of an elaborate plot, and he's going to shove her face in the cake during the wedding. He's like, she'll never come back from that.
The way that would rewire thousands of, maybe millions of women's brains, actually, if he did that, yeah. The women would crash out in that scenario. I kind of hate when like stans say that about their idols, like our parents when they're dating someone. Like,
well, mother is mother.
These are like literally my mother and father. Like, stop.
Because they don't have anybody in their lives that love them.
I guess so. Yeah.
But some people in the chat do.
We desperately need a palate cleanser.
Yes, this one from Pat the Plumber. Fury, waiting for belly rubs. He does look like he could do with a belly rub right there.
He looks incredibly fluffy.
He does look
Beautiful
fluffy.
Coat.
And one more here. This is from Jiggle With Me. This is Maverick. He loves everyone, especially if they give him belly rubs. Yeah.
Love the recurring theme here.
Yes, there's multiple belly rubs needing to be done today.
Great stuff.
That is a very, very cute dog. Fantastic, guys. My palate has officially been cleansed. Let's move on.
All right. So the Netflix live action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I believe, was ill-intentioned from the very start. And I say that because of the interviews we saw prior to the first season's release, where they were touting a lot of character changes. They wanted specifically Sokka to come off as less misogynistic, chauvinistic in the live action version. And from that point on, I was totally checked out of this whole project. But now, 5 years later, which is like a week in Netflix time, season 2 is coming out. I cannot believe they timed it this poorly, knowing that the main character is going through puberty right now. Like, it's just like rule number 1. And the people making the Harry Potter series understand this. When you have a cast of children, you gotta produce this shit quickly. Netflix is not good at that.
No,
They've had a recurring problem of insanely long gaps between seasons for all of their shows.
I changed my mind. You know what I think that the Harry Potter TV show should do? They should just make it anthologies, and they use different actors every season.
I mean, the cast is already horrible enough. It doesn't even matter at this point.
You get Black Snape for like every other season,
right.
and then they just switch off. And or you know what? Yeah, they do it with like every year that same actor plays a different character. So he plays Black Snape in season 1. He can play Black McGonagall in season 2. He can play Black Hagrid in season 3, and he can play Black Harry by the time we get to season 7.
I'm looking at the comments underneath the trailer for Netflix's season 2, saying they need to hurry before Aang grows taller than the Fire Lord. And just so many people noticing the fact that this kid has aged like 5 years, which, I mean, it's been 5 years. So
funny how that happens.
So that's just kind of what happens when you go through puberty. It hit him like a truck. So that's the number one problem that people are noticing with the casting here. But on top of that, we're seeing Azula in this trailer clip. And as you saw, she looks nothing like the character that she is based on. Now, some of this is unavoidable because it's a cartoon. Obviously, real people can't perfectly resemble cartoon characters, but they didn't even try.
They
didn't make the slightest iota of effort to find an actress that bears some resemblance to the original character. And on top of that, we also see May in the show, Azula's companion. And you're seeing a comparison here between a cosplayer and the actress they actually chose. The actress they chose, I'm sorry, but she looks like the sun in Teletubbies. Like, what is going on? Compared to the cartoon character who is incredibly angular and thin and has this stern look on her face, we have this baby-faced girl playing May. And then I think in this second tweet, we see the comparison between the trio of villains in the show compared to, I believe this is a cast of cosplayers on the left who are at least slightly more like accurate to the original characters. There's only so much you can do, as I said. I know that they were planning to cast Asian actresses, but you could have done that while finding someone who resembles the character.
Is there an actress you can think of? Is there like an actress you can think of that would have fit that role? Because that looks like they look pretty young, so I don't know who they would even get.
I didn't think of an actress, but I did think that the evil skier from the Olympics, Eileen Gu, would have made the perfect Azula fan cast. In my opinion, she just has that evil look to her, and she is tall and angular like the characters in the show. So it wasn't impossible, but the casting director has now been revealed as Katie Lance. She, if you take a look at her, kind of explains everything that you need to know. Yeah. So, I mean, people are saying that these actresses are too fat for the role. I mean, that's the truth. And if you took a look at their Instagram profiles, you'd see that they're not, morbidly obese, but they're definitely not thin.
Well, they just have rounder faces, right?
Yeah.
They just have rounder faces.
They have round faces, but they're also not thin, certainly. So that was a massive mistake.
Did you see this? I don't know if this is accurate. Somebody posted these saying like, why are y'all lying about them being fat?
I'm not going to say that they're fat, but with the costumes they're wearing, you definitely can't tell.
Yeah.
And they, in the face, at the very least, look nothing like their characters. So I went to look further into their casting decisions and found a quote from showrunner Albert Kim, who in 2021 said that this series is a chance to showcase Asian and Indigenous characters as living, breathing people, not just in a cartoon, but in a world that truly exists, very similar to the one we live in.
What does that mean when they say, like a living, breathing person?
Thank you, guys.
That's one of those things that they say But it doesn't actually mean anything. It's mumbo jumbo. It's gobbledygook. It's nothing.
Yeah, and of course, it's implied that the show takes place in a version of the real world, and there are different races or ethnicities featured in the show in cartoons, but that doesn't change the fact that, you know, if you go back and look at the original characters, they look, you know, white or Wasian, not Asian. And I don't think that authenticity and, you know, real life ethnicities were what people were looking for in the casting decisions. And by the way, we're talking about a universe where there are, you know, they're flying bison. Like, we're not looking for realistic here. The best casting that they got for this was Daniel Day Kim playing Firelord Ozai.
It's because Daniel Day Kim is awesome.
But there were no other household names on the cast.
I admit that all of the, like, I don't watch a lot of like modern television, so I don't know like which Asian actresses, like the ones I think of are all like closer to my age or in their mid-30s, like a Jamie Chung. Being, you know, on that side of it, or like even a Gemma Chan is great, but she'd be too old for the roles that they're doing here. I can't. And
back in 2021,
should have just had Awkwafina play all of them.
Yes, just CGI her into all of the characters. But back in 2021, Albert Kim also wrote a longer blog post for Netflix about why he decided to take this project on. And he said this live action version would establish a new benchmark in representation and bring in a whole new generation of fans. This was a chance to showcase Asian and Indigenous characters as living, breathing people, not just in a cartoon, but in a world that truly exists, very similar to the one we live in. I also knew what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to change things for the sake of change. I didn't want to modernize the story or twist it to fit current trends. Aang is not going to be a gritty anti-hero. Katara is not going to get curtain bangs. Don't get me wrong, we'll be expanding and growing the world, and there will be surprises for fans and those new to the tale, but throughout this process, our byword has been authenticity. To the story, the characters, the cultural influences, authenticity is what keeps us going, both in front of the camera and behind it, which is why we have assembled a team unlike any seen before, a group of talented and passionate artists working around the clock to bring this rich and incredibly beautiful world to life. So he's definitely trying to do damage control because of the very poorly received live action movie by M. Night Shyamalan, which was back in, 2010? I think it was released in the same year as the first Blue People Avatar movie.
That was 2009.
Okay, yeah, it was very, there was a close window between those two releases.
So that was one
of the reasons why the marketing was confusing. But it was a very poorly done movie. And the biggest mistake they made was just stripping Aang of his entire personality. He's very whimsical. He's fun-loving. He's a kid. He plays games. He makes jokes. They took all of that stuff out of his character in the movie and made him into this stern, world-weary 12-year-old, and it makes no sense for his character. So that was the main problem. But there were other casting mistakes I think they made. They had, oh gosh, what is his name? Dev Patel playing Zuko.
Where the hell is Manny Jacinto? Shouldn't he be involved in this? Manny Jacinto is a star on the rise.
I bet if they greenlit this after he was in Star Wars, he would have ended up in it.
Literally, yeah. I was looking through it here. All of the actresses that I can think of, they're just like Jessica Henwick is great, but she's just, again, too old for these specific characters. Like, there's just so many of them. It's just that most of them, Shay Mitchell, they're all great. Constance Wu. There's so many of them that are just not in the age range that they're looking for this particular movie. Or this particular show.
There's just a problem when you hand off something like this to an American creative team, because this was a Japanese team responsible for the cartoon. And they didn't care at all about making it accurate to the ethnicity of the characters or the implied ethnicity. They basically made all of them look white or white-ish, and it didn't matter because of the year that it came out and because it's a cartoon. But the American team felt it was so important to represent everyone accurately, and that was not received well. And on top of that, again, I'll say those actresses are not fat by any means, especially not by American standards, but like compare them to K-pop stars.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's like ethical, but it's what people want to look at. And I feel it would be appropriate now to reference a tweet that I recently saw from John Doyle, unrelated to the subject at hand. But he said, there is something particularly sinister about the casual 30 extra pounds that every young woman seems to be wearing.
Yeah.
The classic fat girl has committed to her lifestyle. Sometimes she's jolly, sometimes she's vicious, but the fat has been decided and accepted. These new fat girls don't know they're fat. They think they're getting away with something. They think you'll just accept it. Where the classic fat girl rolls out of bed each day to stare 10,000 calories in the face and say, game on, the neo-fat girl is just lazy. She's not fat because she loves eating. She's just given up and doesn't give a shit about her appearance. In the 2010s, women complained all the time about unrealistic standards of female beauty, being skinny, but they also stayed skinnier. We must return every commercial, every magazine end cap, an emaciated woman. It kept everybody honest. Now, that's obviously a bit tongue-in-cheek, but the point still stands. It would be nice to see aspirational body types on screen. And these girls, again, I'll say, in case anyone got it twisted, they're not fat. They're not even really chubby, but like, they're not TV show physiques. And they're not accurate to the physiques of the characters they're playing. And people have a right to point that out. It's a visual medium. And most of the people responding to the trailer for season 2 said that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing it out.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you're going to get skewered as being, what, fat phobic, when really what you're
I'm
being,
a body shamer.
you're being a nuanced bro right now. So
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I see the day.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Billie Eilish.
Yes. So an interview that took place a few years ago with Billie Eilish and David Letterman is now resurfacing for some odd reason. And it's because of one particular moment that interrupted the discussion, where Billie Eilish suffers from a tic attack because she, as she has shared many times over the years, was diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome when she was 11 years old. And you can see her ticking often in interviews, and this is one of them. This is captioned, David exactly what's happening, and she has to clarify for him why she is ticking, and she's not reacting to something that he said to offend her.
Whole clip?
So she does say at one point that she feels deeply offended when interviewers assume that she is making a joke of some kind when she has a tic. Now, why the fuck would you expect someone to have the background knowledge on your Tourette's diagnosis from over a decade ago and just know how to react to that in real time? That just comes off as incredibly presumptuous and entitled and narcissistic. Now, people responded to this basically saying that she is putting this on, that she is faking having Tourette's. And this has been a sort of fad or craze recently. In recent years on TikTok, a lot of content has been made about having Tourette's or getting a late diagnosis of Tourette's in life. And people essentially working themselves up into a social contagion frenzy, believing that they have this condition. Here were some of the replies. I think she's full of shit. They love pretending to have issues because it gives them a higher status on the woke scale. Another one said, watch thousands of people suddenly develop Tourette's because of this shit. And another one said, she doesn't have Tourette's, but she does have a contagion where she believes she has Tourette's. She should probably get off the internet. Now, I believe that would have been called something like histrionic personality disorder or Munchausen's syndrome. But she claims this is a legitimate diagnosis that she received before she was ever famous, before she was ever in the public eye.
Is this
we have no reason, we have no evidence to poke holes in that claim.
Is this the type of thing where if you're doing something more like that involves more of your brain, that it doesn't happen? Like, does it happen when she's on stage? Does it happen when she's performing?
Well, we actually have another interview compilation here that shows her ticking in similar ways throughout the years, and you never see a clip from one of her concerts in it. So let's play that. Okay. There are many examples of her doing this thing where she jerks her head around. You can play it. We don't have the sound on it. Where she like jerks her head around and like opens her eyes really wide, but it's always in the middle of interviews or press videos. You never see a clip of her doing this during her concerts. And maybe some people would say it's because Tourette's tics often manifest when someone is under pressure not to tick. That is specifically a trigger for the tics.
I could see that, or I guess like if we're steel manning the argument, like she feels most comfortable on stage, therefore it doesn't happen when she's on stage, I guess.
Right. It's kind of an unfalsifiable claim, which is why I'm not going to necessarily agree with the people saying she's faking it. I have known several people throughout the years in school, whatever, who do have the more like muted version of Tourette syndrome, where they're not always like screaming slurs or something like that. It's just like slight facial movements or head movements, or like moving their neck around. It's something that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on the first time that you interact with them. So there is a bit of a stereotype that Tourette's only manifests in verbal, echolalia is what it's called, actually, is in verbal tics, but it's most of the time less noticeable than that, and that appears to be the kind that she has. But I do think it's incredibly rich that she claims she's constantly suppressing these symptoms and her tics during interviews and public appearances, when she is also at the same time so eager to talk about her diagnosis all the time, like obviously suggesting she is not ashamed of it at all and thinks there's no reason to suppress her symptoms. She even spoke about it more recently in an interview with Amy Poehler. She said she was 11 when she was diagnosed with Tourette's, and she said it was frustrating when others don't understand the condition. She said, I do have Tourette's and I have vocal tics, but luckily for me and for everyone else, they're mostly just noises and I can keep them pretty quiet. I go through phases of words becoming tics, but there's a thing called suppressing, if you ever heard of it. When I'm in an interview, I'm doing everything in my power to suppress all of my tics constantly. And as soon as I leave the room, I have to let them all out. Poehler said that she had intrusive thoughts, which are defined as unwanted or often shocking thoughts and images. And Eilish said, imagine those intrusive thoughts, but your mouth has to say them out loud, right? That's Tourette's syndrome. I think what's troubling about the way that people don't understand what Tourette's is if I start having a tic attack, like a lot of tics in a row, people are like, are you okay? This is very much normal. It's like, if you didn't see me tick today, you're not looking at my knees, which are ticking constantly under the table, and my elbows that are like, I'm clenching my arms the entire time. It's because I'm currently on camera and I'm having a conversation and I'm trying not to be distracting. I'm really doing this the whole time. As much fun as I'm having, I'm doing everything I can to suppress every single tic that's visible from the top of my head to my waist. And that's how we, as people with Tourette's, pretty much spend our days. Some people don't even have the privilege of getting to suppress them at all in any way. The not understanding of that is really frustrating as a person with Tourette's. Now, I'm just wondering, where was Billie Eilish as all of this controversy was happening after the BAFTAs? Where was she in all of this when a man with echolalia, a much more severe manifestation of Tourette's, was being raked over the coals for involuntarily screaming the N-word during the BAFTAs.
Her Tourette's
was she
is
going
not
to
racist.
use her platform responsibly, as she always brags about doing, to stand up for another person in the Tourette's community who was being stigmatized and falsely accused of racism?
It does not benefit her in that moment, so no.
That's so interesting that she gets all of this sympathy poured out for her Tourette's diagnosis, while John Davidson, I believe his name was being falsely accused of harboring secret racist thoughts for involuntarily screaming the N-word when there were Black presenters, Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan, on stage at the BAFTAs. Why didn't she feel it was necessary in that moment to speak out on his behalf when she has a much larger platform and is therefore, as she would put it, responsible for advocacy and activism?
I think they need to invite John to the awards this year just in case Obsession wins and Indy Neverett wins some stuff. Maybe he can say something really inappropriate then too.
Like, how about he just gets invited to all of the award shows now just to make things more interesting? And then everyone can just, by exposure therapy, become less and less bigoted against people with Tourette's syndrome. And it will really do a lot of work to destigmatize this condition to the public.
That would probably be a good idea. Yeah.
Because it's just like awfully convenient that this, pretty famous girl has the less severe version of this condition that's seen as funny and quirky and cute. And meanwhile, the older, not famous, not rich guy who has the much more severe version of this condition is being unfairly thrown under the bus for it. And nobody thought it was a moment to stand up for him. Everybody actually assumed the absolute worst of him in the moment. That was most of the conversation.
The person who lost out the most on this is mid-20s Jennifer Lawrence. When she really wanted to be a quirk chungus, she could have just had Tourette's syndrome, and then it would have been really quirky and really chungusy, if we're being honest.
If any of you look up Jennifer Lawrence red carpet, you will see countless photos of her basically ticking on the red carpet where she's like, ah! Like, that was the entirety of the 2010s, is just getting assaulted with Jennifer Lawrence quirk chungus moments.
Billie Eilish is basically mid-90s D'Lo Brown from WWE, who'd put his arms out and go like all the time.
And look, I'm not saying that she's faking it. I have no evidence one way or the other. But it sounds legit. I've met people who have, less noticeable Tourette's syndrome symptoms before. It's a thing. In fact, it's the most common. The version that John Davidson suffers from is very rare and very severe and debilitating. He's hardly been able to hold a job. It's jeopardized his life in one scenario that was depicted in the movie based on his life. Someone attempted to murder him over it. Yeah. So that is truly something that should be recognized as a disadvantage, something that legitimately puts you in a lower status in society. But he was offered zero sympathy in the moment because he's a white man who is therefore lower on the oppression totem pole than a rich, famous Black actor like Michael B. Jordan.
Yep.
And Billie Eilish just, in the middle of all of her advocacy for veganism and climate change activism and, complaining about misogyny and bragging about the fact that she masturbates in front of the mirror. And in the middle of all of that, she was too busy to think about the underdog in John Davidson, who suffers from the same condition as her. And I just think that is incredibly telling. The silence was very loud in that moment.
All right, let's move on. It's time to have the discussion. It's Hiplets versus Manlets. Dawn of Justice.
For years, Manlets have been lurking in the shadows. waiting for their moment to get revenge on all of the women that discarded them from their dating prospects due to their height, something that they cannot control whatsoever. And finally, manlets have found a way to get revenge. And they're doing so on TikTok by body shaming women who have hip dips. I recently learned about this, not from TikTok, but Discourse on X. Pelagius posted, men on TikTok are making fun of women with hip dips the same way they make fun of short men, and they're going absolutely insane. And not only are they making fun of hip dips, they have come up with a slur for women with hip dips, similar to manlet. They're calling them hiplets. Now, first, we should explain for the normal people in the audience what these are. As you can see in the diagram, a hip dip is just a divot that someone naturally has due to bone structure between their torso and their hips. They're also known as violin hips or trochanteric depressions. They are natural inward curves or indentations that appear on the outer sides of the hips, just below the hip bone and above the upper thigh. Common and normal anatomical variations present in people of all sizes and fitness levels. They result primarily from the shape of the pelvis and the distance between one's hip bone and the greater trochanter, that is the bony bump on the thigh bone. So there's really nothing that you can do to change this if you genetically have hip dips. There's very little you can do through diet or exercise to change or eliminate this.
Well, I mean, they make lifts. I from what I understand, they make lifts for men's shoes. Do they have some pads that they could put in those skin-tight leggings these women wear?
You could wear artificial hip pads to hide them, or you could even get surgical intervention to hide hip dips. But there's no natural way that you can prevent or eliminate hip dips. And this is why people are saying it is analogous to height, because it's something completely out of a woman's control and totally genetic. And this is why they're using it as the perfect weapon against women who have stigmatized manlets, aka short kings, in the dating pool. One reply says, the hiplet posts by men are obviously tongue-in-cheek, but women respond by angrily ranting into camera or with defiant, slutty poses. Then men in the replies say, it's just a preference, hiplet. Why do you even care? And the women get even madder. Here is one example of these rage bait posts. Being around women with hip dips is so comforting. They're the best friends ever. I would never personally date one, but they give off such good coworker and friend energy. This is honestly how women post under each other's selfies, though. If we're being honest,
absolutely.
If they have a friend who's morbidly obese, they're like, slay, queen, you look so beautiful. It's just that when the tables are turned on them, they don't respond in kind. Here were some other responses in this screenshot. One said, I genuinely don't understand what is masculine about hip dips. A normal human body part is unattractive. Another one said the term hiplet is made up by men who want to be victims of a made-up reality where women's choices are always about hurting them. So there are tons of videos of women responding to the hiplet discourse, saying you should embrace your hip dips and be proud of them and don't let these men keep you down. But there is a corollary to this, which someone mentioned in the replies. They say 4chan did this with the thigh gap and the bikini bridge. They embraced it and posted their own memes, and they also sieved and penned posts about why this is not okay at the time. So they're talking about these 2010s body discourse trends. The thigh gap is an obvious one, but the bikini bridge, that was about like when you lay down and you're wearing a bikini, is there a gap between the fabric of your bikini and your stomach as it's laying flat? So if you didn't have that, you were deemed undateably fat.
Yeah, well, that's
Unmarriageably fat. So these did irreparable damage to millennial women, of course. And now the same thing is happening with Zoomer women on TikTok, losing their minds about the hiplet slur. Another one, I said, I just found out incels coined the term hiplet to degrade women with hip dips. They're degrading bone structure. To which this person who calls himself Moid Loser said, I think this whole hiplet thing is tarded, but they're degrading bone structure thing is so ironic coming from a woman. And there are tons of men admitting in the replies here that they had no idea what hip dips were until this became a trend. But they're like, well, now that I know what they are, I'm definitely going to call them revolting and disgusting to psychologically, enact psychological warfare on women who have made me feel bad about my height for years. So I guess it's up for debate whether this is actually affecting real world dating and gender dynamics. I doubt it will. But the reason why this falls flat, in my view, is because although hip dips are out of a woman's control, similar to height, they're never going to, like, if you're a woman with hip dips, there's no reality in which that affects your dating prospects or how people relate to you in the real world. They're far less noticeable than height as well. So it's kind of a moot argument, you know, like
it's a COPE argument. It's
like the manlets know that their height is a much bigger obstacle in getting matches on a dating app compared to a woman having hip dips. Like, no men in the real world actually care whether or not a woman has hip dips. It's just not even a thing.
But many a woman cares whether a guy is tall or not, which is why the guys would be better off not trying to own the women and rather, I don't know, get funny, do something, find a way to not let your own height bother you so much. You gotta figure something out, because the second you let that define you, you're off to a bad start.
Yeah, this one reply is telling. He said, do I care about hip dips? No, not at all. Am I on board with this only because too many women need to learn some humility? Absolutely. And I guess props for just admitting that what you're doing is gender war
and petty,
and petty, and that it's totally petty and not grounded in reality whatsoever. But there are better ways to spend your time. You know, this is like the lowest depths.
It's, I mean, when it's all said and done, when it's all said and done and the hiplets have all been insulted and you're alone with your own thoughts, you're still 5'7", and that's the problem, right? As a short guy here, you're better off learning to be comfortable in your own skin and not caring about the fact that you're not as tall as other dudes. And it'll be better for your mental health long term than owning the hiplets.
The only corollary for women that makes a comparable difference in their dating prospects is weight. And you still can't even weaponize that against them because we're living in the age of Ozempic. And if you really want to lose extra weight, you can. If you're a manlet, the only tool at your disposal is like I don't know how much does leg lengthening surgery cost? Hundreds of thousands of dollars?
I mean, lots and lots of money, I'm sure. Plus then you're going to be all like stilted and uneven, and like you're going to tip over at any given time. I can't imagine why somebody would actually do that.
Yeah, so there's leg lengthening surgery. I guess being like male pattern baldness is another one that comes up quite often. The bald men feel aggrieved by the fact that women disqualify them for that, which is also out of the control unless they get hair plugs in like Turkey. So you better personality max, you better humor max, you better confidence max.
Yeah.
or gym max even, if you want to make up for those deficits. But starting a war on TikTok with women over their body insecurities is not the move.
Career max, like the ultimate,
There's so many options.
The ultimate equalizer is to just be wealthy.
But there's the problem, right? The whole instigating event for looks maxing, as it currently is gaining more and more traction, is that we've barely had time to catch our breath as the entire idea of being a woman has been reinvented for the last like 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in a situation where men have to find a way to reassert their desirability as mates. And that is why looks maxing is a thing, and why men are essentially becoming male to male transitioners.
Yeah.
They have to find some way to prove that they still, offer value in the dating market, in the sexual marketplace. And if they can't prove their value to a woman by career success, they have to do so with their looks. And I think that makes the height discourse or male pattern baldness discourse sting all the worse.
Yeah.
Because men's looks have never factored in so heavily to their dating prospects as they do in the current age.
Yeah, gentlemen, I feel like I got the last copter out of Nam, as we say in here. That is the luckiest thing in the world for me, was that I managed to find an amazing woman and get married. For the rest of y'all, you're gonna have to just start. You know what? Use the age-old middle school tactic or elementary school tactic of calling her a hiplet, even if she's not. And then she will fall for you because you're nice, you're mean to the ones that you like.
Should we conclude our poll today? The big question on our minds is, what qualifies a man as a manlet? Is it being below average height,
yes,
meaning below 5'9", or being below 6 feet tall?
Below 5'9", they say, with 83% of the vote.
I think I would agree with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing morally wrong with being a manlet.
Yeah.
You can just reclaim that and empower yourself. But look, in the real world, I know that on dating apps, height is a huge deal. Mm-hmm. But the real world is not reflected by dating
yes,
apps.
What you should remember is that
women all the time dating men who are below average height, who are below 6 foot. I know there are a lot of short women, like below 5'3" women, who claim that they're only willing to date men above 6 foot. But when you actually look at their revealed preferences, they probably don't follow through on that when they
it's not that.
pick a mate.
What you do, you take you go, look, she's probably not good at math. She doesn't actually know what 6 feet tall looks like, probably because a bunch of 5'10" guys have been telling her they're 6 feet their entire lives. So
yeah, okay. If you ask me, I think the ideal height difference between a man and a woman is just whatever the height of your head is. So she's like one head below.
How so? Like but what if you're like I don't know, an actor with like who's somebody who's got a long head? There's got to be somebody who's an actor with like a.
Okay, excluding extreme examples of people with long heads, I think that just one head of difference is the ideal height difference between a man and a woman. And that does not require a 5'2" woman to date someone who's 6'4". Mm-hmm. I actually do think it's kind of jarring to see that in real life.
Sonic Hero in the chat asks, is Olivia taller than Brett? Oh, yeah. Yeah, by like at least a head.
Wait, what is actually your height difference?
She's 5 feet. I'm 5'5". So here's the thing. I was told by a doctor, when the last time I was at a doctor, they said I was 5'6", and I was like, oh, they were lying. I've been lying to myself all these years. I thought I was 5'5". I went and I had to go again. No, 5'5". So that person just wanted to boost my confidence that day. It really bummed me out. But
maybe you just had better posture that day.
No. I would like to believe that because I care. I think posture is extremely important. But no, 5'5". So about about 5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? Yeah, no. But I said no. She's Yeah, Olivia's taller than me. She's a head taller than me. I wore the high heels at the wedding.
If she wears high heels, she's not even your height.
Not
If
quite.
She's 5. Yeah, she's 5 feet. So that's kind of ideal.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Super Chats then, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, "Whoa, Mary went crazy with the pink hair dye. I don't hate it. It was just unexpected." Yeah, I kind of jump scared everyone in the thumbnail today. Hope you're all emotionally recovering from that. I promise I am not just suddenly a leftist. I just like the color pink. It's actually my favorite color. People don't know that about me. Katie said, "Brett and Mary, the 4th of July is marching day in my city because the government says trans men have more rights than real women." Marching day? Is that like a day of trans visibility or something? I don't know. Poor Australia doesn't get to celebrate 250 with us. Manic Attack said, "Bralette is also a slur, but for flatties." I was under the impression that a bralette was just a style of bra, but you're opening my eyes. I'm expanding my vocabulary today.
That's so funny.
Come up with new creative slurs in the chat. Let us know what you come up with.
I swear I heard frostback somewhere else recently too, and I was like, has that like expanded
real life?
in like on the internet somewhere?
Wow. Shane H. Wilder said, "Hair color doesn't mean much. There's a couple at my church who are extremely conservative. The dude rocks a 3-piece suit and a bright green mohawk. The chick has bright pink hair and wears a black veil. That's a vibe. Look, we accept all kinds."
So what you're saying is, don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah.
I mean, I guess. I just feel like tattoos and hair dye and piercings have become so common at this point that you're bound to find it in a church as much as a nightclub.
I love the Ryan Long bit where he's like, I never judge anyone. I never judge a book by its cover. And they show him like pictures of old women. He's like, pro wrestler. Like he gives you the most unrealistic expectation or prediction for what a person might do.
I see people with like full sleeves of tattoos, sometimes hand and neck tattoos and face tattoos at mass. It's not.
Isn't the
that
whole trope
shocking.
of the youth pastor supposed to be that he's got tattoos and he's kind of edgy looking?
Yeah, like 1 or 2, but not to the extreme end.
Not
where,
face
like,
tattoos, but
yeah.
Jelly Roll is going to
Moon-
quit his job and become a youth pastor.
Maybe that would be the next move for him to recover his PR image. Moon at Noon said, "Mary's shampoo fund. I am not going to be washing the pink out anytime soon. Can't promise you that. Actually, no judgment zone, guys. I wash my hair once a week. That doesn't mean I shower once a week, by the way. I only wash my hair once a week.
Yeah.
So you're going to be seeing the pink for at least a couple weeks." Shane H. Wilder said, "Unlike Supergirl, Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon changes over the course of the film as he develops a friendship with his partner Danny Glover."
I would at least say now it's kind of a tell don't show, unfortunately, in the movie. But at the end of Supergirl, spoiler ahead of time for all the people that I know aren't going to go and see it, she has a conversation with Clark. And she does seem to indicate that her experience with Ruthie and Krem changed her, and she has a different perspective. So maybe it would have been better if perhaps it was it was actually shown rather than just spoken by the character. But there was at least lip service paid to the entirety of the event having an effect on her.
So is she actually 23 in the movie, or is that explained away that she's actually older because of the time warp situation?
I don't even remember how they explain. She's 23. It's her birthday and she's 23. I don't remember how they explain the time warp. If they explain the time warp thing, my brain turns off at that stuff.
Okay.
But Clark is, I don't remember. Is Clark like technically older, but the time warp, I don't remember. But the point is basically made that Clark is older but has a younger heart. Meaning that, he sees the good in people, and she says she sees the truth, which, I wasn't a fan of that line. I liked the rest of the explanation for what happens to Krypton in the movie, but it seemed incongruous.
I actually watched the Critical Drinker review of Supergirl, and I am not a subscriber of the Critical Drinker. Not because I dislike his content or anything. I just don't watch it. It was because a friend put on his review, and one of the main criticisms that he had for her character is that she has no reason to be as jaded as she is due to her age, and that it wasn't sufficiently explained with her backstory.
He's right. Basically, the idea that from what I remember correctly, and again, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, because I've only seen the movie once, and I would need to see it more than one time. Like, the planet blowing up wasn't, from what I remember, at the behest of someone. Like, not that I remember, unless I missed something in Superman. Like, you're jaded because you've been basically shot from your home planet, which exploded, and you've lost everyone. But that doesn't inherently mean that people are bad. Like, right. I don't remember there being a person that was responsible for it, but I could be wrong. I'm one of those people where, like, I love watching reviews where, like, yeah, I don't know, did I miss something? Like, that's how I feel. Like, I was like, I don't know, I must have missed something there. Like, she's jaded, perhaps more than she should be, given the fact that she's got Clark, who does love her and is always seemingly very interested in her and wants to be there for her. But Clark also had the parents from the point when he was young, from when he came to Earth young and then grew up with Ma and Pa Kent. So you could say that it's poorly explained, but not without precedent, even if it doesn't seem like it's quite enough.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Look, I would expect this at a Gigi Allen show. Weren't we all taught as toddlers to go to the restroom before we leave the house?"
You should do that.
Yeah. Robert Delara said, "All the people that go to Times Square for New Year's Eve are all wearing diapers, I am sure."
Yeah, it is true. That is something that happens.
Oh, man, that's disgusting. I can't imagine the stench.
Yeah.
Why would you do that, by the way? That's like the most NPC thing ever, is like going to Times Square at the barricade for New Year's Eve. It's like the worst way to spend your night.
I think, you know what? There's probably, if I had to choose between that and like Friendsgiving or something like that, or like the themed Christmas parties or the themed Thanksgiving things, I think that it's quintessentially a very American thing. It's very Americana to want to be there.
I suppose, but now that we know they're wearing diapers, I don't know.
I would never do it, but I encourage people to do so.
Well, someone has to, I guess.
Better you than me.
Yeah. Dingus Khan of Gongolia said Travis is probably going to sit in his truck in his driveway for 45 minutes before he goes in the house.
I mean, it's going to be a big house and a big driveway, so.
I must confess, I used to be a driveway sitter. Like, I was constantly doing that. When I got home, I would just sit. I couldn't get myself to get out of the car. It was insane. It was a problem. But now that I've watched Obsession, I cannot sit in my car at a standstill, especially at night, because of that scene. Mm-hmm. You know the scene. If you've watched it, it's just like permanently damaged my brain. Shane H. Wilder said Travis is gonna need a diaper after that Indian food. Okay, I have to say, like, where does this come from that people claim eating Indian food gives them insane, like, gastrointestinal issues? Like, I'm pretty sure it's, like, not that bad for you.
Yeah. Never
personally experienced that, but go off. Yeah. No hate. Skateman 2010 said, "Guys, I lost my son on June 8th. I'm devastated. He would have been 14 on July 2nd. Brett, never needed prayers more than now."
I am so sorry for your loss.
That is heartbreaking. We're very sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, that would have been same day as, I mean, obviously not same year, but same day as my birthday. And that is, I'm so sorry for your loss, man.
I'll say again, anyone in the chat, join in prayers for him, and I will as well. Brian Bledsoe. Wait, is this the next one? Remember hearing Dana White talk about Walmart finding out that adult diapers sell out in the area of a Taylor Swift show as an example of her success?
Yeah. It's what you call like what is it? It's like an anti-recession indicator. Because they got the disposable income to go to a Taylor Swift concert.
They're like, look, the economy is broken. I can't afford a home, but I am going to buy a pack of adult diapers for the Eras tour, and I'm going to Klarna it.
Oh, no.
This is where we're at as a society. Robert Delara said, Travis Kelce, the ultimate meathead, is going to marry a billionaire. Maybe he's not as dumb as he acts. Never mind, he is. I was kind of entertaining the possibility that Travis Kelce is playing a character, that he's not as dumb as he pretends to be. But I think he actually is. Like, I think it's just genuinely his personality. And, like, she probably enjoys being in the driver's seat in their relationship based on her personality.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually not a genius, despite what some people claim. But she is smart enough to be noticeably smarter than Travis Kelce, which I guess is some consolation for her.
Yeah.
She definitely seems to wear the pants in that relationship. And I don't think Madison Square Garden was his idea.
I imagine that for him, you know, it's just a different thing, right? Like somebody like him, he could have done what the rest of the football players do, which is to marry like a woman that nobody's heard of that will eventually have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably feels like he's leveled up in many, many ways. He's also the antithesis of all the other guys she's dated, so he doesn't feel like he needs to compare himself to anybody because he's a physical force beyond any of those guys. So
I remember now all of the people arguing about who was more famous when they started dating, because I had never heard of Travis Kelce in my life before.
I'm sure a lot of but the thing is that they're both of a certain level of significance in their fields. Just one of them is to a greater extent.
But is Travis Kelce the Taylor Swift of the NFL? Like, I don't think he was at that level.
I mean, he is now.
He is now,
because
but not before.
I don't follow football enough these days to really know the answer to that question.
I just saw this like Page 6 article that claimed that he actually was like the myth of how they started dating is that he was aggressively pursuing her and that he showed up to her concert with the friendship bracelet and like pulled all of these strings to get access to her and get her phone number and all this stuff. But then like these sources were claiming otherwise, that he was actually not responding to her when she would text him, and that he was dating around up until the point where they were exclusive, and that she was actually the one pining for him more than the other way around, which, if that's true, her fans definitely wouldn't like to believe that version of the story.
Wait,
because
like,
it's not as fairy tale.
Wait, they're saying that she was pining for football, even though she had to like have somebody write down how football worked on like a napkin when she went to a game.
The claim is that he was less interested than she was.
He was playing it aloof. He's like, oh, yeah, like I'm in my single era, so like maybe like, you know.
But he was exploring his options up until the last minute is what they're saying.
He's like, look, I got like my DMs are full. I'm sorry, but like, you know, maybe
I could make an exception for a white girl, you know. Cleggy said, this is my impression of PCC. Mary, this movie is absolute dog shit. Brett, to be fair, dog shit is a far superior manure as it is less acidic than bird shit. Much love, fam.
Look, I am the nuanced bro here.
It's so true.
I also don't think that Supergirl was dog shit. I think it was below average.
What kind of shit is it then?
It's not. It's just below average. That's all it is. It was a below.
I think maybe it's like.
Isn't it enough that I'm calling it below average as somebody who lists just about everything as average?
Maybe it's cat shit because it's
because it's got a dog in it
underneath the litter, so you don't immediately see that it's shit.
Yeah, it's about the same color as litter too.
We'll workshop that. Whale Fox Johnson said, honestly, glad to be starting to turn away from with a website or a YouTube channel. I don't know what that first part
Yeah.
means. Sorry. Supergirl is a solid 8 out of 10. I would have missed another good movie because of them.
I 110% believe that you should make up your own mind about movies. It's why I very rarely, if ever, give people like I gave the Sheep Detectives a definite go and see, especially if you were married or had kids. I think that it was a fantastic movie and you should go see it in the theaters, and I thought it was fantastic. Otherwise, I'm like, look, you can look back at my reviews, and if there's movies that I've reviewed that you've seen, and then you can kind of match up your tastes, where does my thinking come, fall next to yours? And if you agree with me, then you can use that as some type of barometer as to whether you want to go or not. But I'm never going to tell you to not go and make up your own mind. You should absolutely do that. And it is true that if you're not careful, you can fall in line and accidentally have people who make content, making your decisions for you. But it's always better to know for yourself, or at least if you're not going to go, do so because you don't want to go, not because somebody else told you not to go.
I definitely think that people shouldn't take the box office numbers as a metric for how good or bad a movie is.
That is true.
Because right now, Toy Story 5 is destroying, and it's obviously bottom of the barrel slop. I saw 10 minutes of it, granted. Okay, keep that in mind. You can take what I say with a grain of salt. But from what I saw, it was
I don't think it's
pretty
fair
awful.
I don't think it's fair to make that assumption based on 10 minutes. I think you need to see more than that to like, I've seen plenty of movies that suck in the first 10 minutes that turn it around.
Well, I'm just saying it wasn't good enough to cause me to tolerate the people talking in the theater. I was like, this is not good enough for me to spend the next 2 hours of my life listening to people have a side conversation. Cleggy said, where did all the Black experts on Tourette's go?
They're all still talking about it on a different side of the internet.
What experts?
Remember after the incident at the BAFTAs?
Yeah, they were pretty much just ignored. Any Black person with Tourette's who spoke out during that time was completely ignored and called, every name in the book, like Uncle Tom, whatever. So they were not being listened to. Manic Attack said another reason the Avatar movie failed is because it's impossible to make Indians intimidating.
Is that true? I don't know if that's true.
Well, I don't remember all the details. It's been literally since 2010 or whatever that I watched it. But as far as race swaps go, making an East Asian character Indian is an interesting choice, and it did not pay off. Mm-hmm. Burned Oils said, do you think Billie ticks when she does her mirror thing? Let's not speculate. I'd rather not.
We have a member chat from Man Bear Cow TV. Member for 2 months, my friend. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Says, I was in high school at the same time as Brett. I'm not that old. Sheesh. Just because a guy finds a niche talking about the older Gen's music. LOL. Yeah, well, I'm not that old either.
You still got a spring in your step.
I recorded a video for Thursday, and like mentioned that I'm turning 40 in the video, and I was like, you know what? It is what it is.
You feeling good about the big 4-0?
I do. I'm like nice. There's literally nothing in my life like you could make the complaint if you're a joyless wonk, as the Brits would say, that you're not farther enough along in your life, maybe like not owning a home or something like that. But other than that, given where I was 10 years ago or longer, and like how bad my life was at one point, something of my own making, which is kind of the point of that video that I was recording, to complain about the life I have now, married, beautiful wife, good job, it would be very callous to complain about something like that. So unless it's about the wrinkles, well, you're gonna have to complain. Am I gonna have to get some Botox?
Maybe. Man Bear Cow TV said, llama hair is not looks maxing kiddos. LOL.
I don't even know what that means.
I'm very confused. Why are we talking about llamas? Burned Oils said Mary is a manlet. Well, I guess if anybody under average height is a manlet, then sure.
Yeah.
Stefan
Burned
Buttle.
Oils in the chat says, Brett always acts like he's the voice of reason because he's old, but we're his age. I mean, our audience is firmly my age. I can tell that by the demographics of our YouTube channel. It's firmly in our age. It's definitely not younger.
I don't think that you come off as like.
Have I ever like?
know-it-all.
"Oh, well, it's because in my day.
Yeah,
Like-
I don't really hear that kind of talk from you.
I'm just not prone to, the more extreme opinions, I guess, which makes it seem that way. But I can be that way if you want. I can start being like, back in my day.
I can say from, watching my own appearance change slowly over the years of doing this on YouTube, I definitely was not finished with puberty at 21, which is crazy. I guess maybe I've chilled out since then, though.
Gotta chill out, man.
Do you think I've chilled out, Brett?
You've chilled. You can go hard in the paint sometimes, but for the most part, I'd like to think that outside of like making, there's an art to making thumbnails want to grab your attention, but I'd like to believe that most of the time, like, our opinions, to differing degrees are not that ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No, I don't. I think that we're pretty reasonable about most things.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Stefan Buttle said, long-headed actors. I don't know if we have smally actors. I wonder if there are, actually. Are there any, like, Somali actors in mainstream projects?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Somalian. I don't know whether you should call them Somali or Somalian.
I don't know.
Not off the top of my head. 200 Watt Studio said, some men like very short women. Butterballs? What does that mean?
Is that like an official term for that?
Is that a slur for short women? What's happening? Stefan Buttle. Oh no, that was Shane H. Wilder. See, Brett, I was told I was 5'10". It's even on my driver's license. Then I went to the doctor last year and they're like, nah, you're 5'9".
No!
WTF.
Hey, that's I think they did that to break my resolve. I think they wanted to make me care about feeling like I was taller and then like take it away from me, but
Well, for your driver's license, don't they just ask you
I don't
verbally, like, to tell them your height and your weight? Because I
Probably.
was not weighed or measured at the DMV. They just asked me.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
told
mean, it's
them.
like, okay, so I looked back. It's funny. I still have all my old licenses. And I look back, my eye color is listed as different on all of them up until like my last one. My eyes are two different colors, and on the form, there was never an option for that. So I used to just list random eye colors because I didn't want to list one, but not the other. So I said blue on one, even though neither of my eyes are blue. My
And
eyes.
they can't like ask you about it. They just have to put that.
There probably is in Minnesota now, but when I came out here, or when I came out to Maryland, there's an option for what's called dichromatic, which, so I have heterochromia, so it's listed as two different colors now.
I put hazel because I'm super unique.
There you go.
So it says has.
There's a $20 super chat here from
I don't see it
Air
yet.
Cole DeStefano. Says, love your hair today, Mary.
Thank you. I've been needing some positivity. Katie said, Mary, I meant real women are protesting July 4th. Why would they protest an American holiday in Australia? I swear, every other country is just obsessed with us.
Yeah.
Shidav Vivedmek, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, said, my wife wants to know if she is 4'11" and I am 6 feet. Is that too large of a difference? I don't find it to be too big of a difference, but you've made her self-conscious now. Well, I didn't intend to make anyone self-conscious, okay? You've made your decisions. You should feel good about them, and you're married, so it's not like there's a way to go back on it now. I rarely see an over a foot height difference between couples in real life. I would be kind of taken aback if I saw you guys out and about in public. But there's nothing wrong with that. You can feel fine about your height difference. Don't let me rain on your parade. Easy E said, if a girl says height matters, I just ask why she doesn't crouch or duck then. Kind of seems like her personal issue more than mine. I think a lot of the times women say that they have these height requirements because it easily explains why they're single in a way that isn't self-critical. Like, oh, I'm single because I just haven't found my 6'4" Prince Charming yet. Because it's just hard to find someone who checks my list off. But in reality, like, they're probably single because they're unpleasant to be around or like have serious personality issues. So I think it might be maybe a little bit of a defense mechanism that they're on. Stefan Buttle said, if a book has a... What? I'm not going to say that. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm not going to say that out loud. Boss said $2 for the articulate pink Victorian Mary dime piece. Thank you. Shane H. Wilder said, Mary, you literally did an episode of an internet show over Indian food. The American stuff is fine, but I'm sure the stuff from India will wreck you. Yes, I'm sorry. I should have clarified that I meant Indian food from American restaurants, not from Indian street vendors in India, because yes, that looks like you will just die on the spot if you take a bite of that stuff. It's barely even something I would qualify as food, though. Burned Oils said, Mary, say what you really think of Taylor. Olivia isn't here. I think I did say what I really think of Taylor Swift already, and none of it was flattering. I'm not afraid of Olivia just because she's a Swiftie. And I like plenty of Taylor's music, by the way, like mostly her country music. Shane H. Wilder said, dog shit, bird shit, cat shit, horse shit, bullshit. It's all batshit crazy. Ain't that some shit?
Yeah.
You said it better than I ever could have. Ryan Bledsoe said, Travis Kelce is at best the Taylor Swift of tight ends, to mansplain that's his position on the field.
He, you know what? That's probably right. Travis Kelce will have to one day, but he always seemed like he wanted more than that. Remember, he's like on the dating show. Like he wanted to be more than just.
He was trying to build his brand for a long time, but dating Taylor Swift turned out to be the best thing for his image. Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, you just said Mary can go hard in the paint sometimes. Is that a joke about Mary's hair? That's just rude.
What?
He was throwing shade. Thanks for pointing that out.
You dye I didn't say she goes hard in the dye sometimes. I'm so confused.
Okay, but do you think that I have noticeably changed my opinions about anything since we first started working together? Like, is there anything you've noticed different about my worldview or my personality or anything like that? Because I think I was pretty much set in stone. Thank you, guys.
I don't even remember what my opinions were that many years ago, so I can't honestly say.
Well, I don't think you've necessarily changed your opinions in some major way, but your delivery has changed. And I think that you're a little bit less edgy.
Really?
Not that's a bad thing, but you are a little bit less edgy and the jokes that you make on the show.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't even remember what jokes I used to make. You'd have to find me an example of that. But I'm sure whatever it was really funny.
And most of the edgy jokes were always off air.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still that way.
Eric.
I did that one. That was the 20.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know how to pronounce it anyway.
I tried earlier. I couldn't do it.
Shane H. Wilder said, they do just ask you, but when I first got my license, I went off what I was told when being weighed and measured in high school gym class. No, they're only looking for like a rough estimate. 200 Watt Studio said Jussie Smollett is an actor. I think you might be getting a little confused.
I looked up Somalian actors, and there aren't a whole lot of them. And it says most of them reside in Minnesota, which is not shocking. And that's relevant because Jussie Smollett was actually in the original Mighty Ducks.
He was. Wait, did that take place in Minnesota?
Yes.
In Detroit?
What? In Detroit? Minnesota and Detroit are...
Or sorry, in Minneapolis.
Yeah, it's St. Paul, Minneapolis.
His whole like thing, his whole staged thing took place.
Oh, no, that happened in Chicago.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I remember like what made it even more unbelievable from the start.
So you meant Mighty Ducks. Mighty Ducks took place in Minnesota.
Oh yeah, not Mighty Ducks. The idea that you would like live in Chicago and you would think to yourself, I'm looking for a midnight snack. I'm going to go out into the dead of winter in the middle of the night in Chicago.
For Subway.
To go get a Subway sandwich.
That was basically the long and the short of the Dave Chappelle bit.
Like, bro, have you never heard of DoorDash? Like, force an immigrant to do it. Jeez.
That was literally the Dave Chappelle's whole bit. Was like,
that was crazy.
Subway.
And he
sandwiches?
He still claims to this day that it actually happened. Yeah. I guess you have no other choice. High Voltage 75. You know what?
It would be really funny if he was like, all right, you know what? I was lying.
I mean, I think a lot of people would respect the honesty at that point.
It's like, look,
but who is going to save Jussie Smollett from the same fate as an Armie Hammer or Jonathan Majors? Who's going to give him his next big role?
Daily Wire.
Is the Daily Wire going to give Jussie Smollett his redemption arc?
Wait. Yes, and he can make a hockey movie. Like
that would be incredible.
He can make Mighty Ducks 4. Ducks Strike Back.
Ducks Strike Back.
They already did that stupid spin-off TV series that I refuse to watch. So, you know what? They can get back Emilio Estevez. They can get back Joshua Jackson and Jussie Smollett. Though he wasn't in the second or the third one. He was only in the first one, from what I remember.
Who is the kid in that major flop Home Alone?
I don't know, but I'm so sick of the Home Alone 3 slander.
Well, I guess it's probably not as bad as people say it was.
I think Scarlett Johansson was in that movie.
Really?
Yeah. Would have been a very young in 90.
Wait, what year was that?
It was like 2000.
Oh, good. Well, who did she play?
I gotta figure it out. I think I don't remember, and obviously seeing that movie when it came out, like you're not gonna know her as Scarlett Johansson because it's
right.
She wasn't Scarlett Johansson yet.
High Voltage 75
came out in 97.
Oh, okay. So how old would she have been then? I can't do math.
Let me see if I No, she was in it. She was a character named Molly Pruitt, and then there was a woman named Karen Pruitt. So I'm guessing Karen was the mom. And there was a Stan Pruitt. So it's like another family. Oh no, that's his sister. Okay, his character's name is Alex Pruitt, the main character.
Oh, okay.
So she got sent away likely because he was home alone. It's been so long since I've seen it.
So she wasn't really in it that much.
No.
Is what I'm hearing. High Voltage 75 said, in lighter news, my offer on a house got accepted today. No HOA, of course. Suck it, Karens.
Look, it's not my fault you guys don't understand the importance of law and order kept together by the fearless leaders at your local homeowners association, bravely making sure that your lawn care is kept up to snuff so that we don't fall into a world of lawlessness and disrepair.
Go off.
Yep.
This is like the one thing that we're on the same page.
I don't even like. I just think it's funny because I'm like, they have to volunteer for it, right? Like,
I think it's funny and true.
We would never live in an HOA because I can't imagine wanting to pay like property taxes and HOA dues. But I just think it's funny. You know, we're always talking about how everything's falling into, everything's falling apart, and then here's these people trying to keep the status quo. And everybody's unfairly maligning them. I did not know that John Hughes wrote Home Alone 3. I just assumed that it ended up being something that somebody else wrote.
That's kind of hard to believe.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, force an immigrant to do it. Mary Morgan, 2026. I did have a moment like that, actually. There was a big snowstorm in Nashville in December, and I knew that it was coming, so I had already gone grocery shopping. But before the snow started, it was like it was dead cold outside. Like I could not walk outside without like freezing to death, and I didn't want to eat anything at home. So unfortunately I did have a moment where I DoorDashed Taco Bell at like 11 p.m. and somebody, had to go out in the dead of winter for me to have my Taco Bell munchies. And I'm not ashamed to admit that.
If only they offered a service.
It wasn't my finest moment.
If only they offered a service like Uber where I could request a female driver to drop my food off.
Right. Just so you know that a woman had to work hard to make sure you eat dinner that night.
Apparently, Scarlett Johansson revealed in a 2021 interview with People magazine that she introduced her child, her 10-year-old daughter, Rose Dorothy, to the movie Home Alone 3 to see if she would recognize her as a then 11-year-old. She did not recognize her.
Has Macaulay Culkin ever commented on Home Alone 3's
that he
existence?
refused to do the film because he said he'd grown tired of the role and felt like there was nothing more that he could do with it. Plus, he's like, I've got so many royalties coming in from the...
But does he have an opinion on how they did?
I hope it's a mean one. Just because, like, in those cases,
like,
they always have to pretend to like it. Like, they're going to make it their own.
Yeah. I hope there was no performative magnanimity from Macaulay Culkin about Home Alone 3. I hope he was just like, F that movie.
How about this? A rare positive review for this movie came from none other than Roger Ebert, who called it the best of all the Home Alone films and that it was far better than the first one. It was the only Home Alone movie he liked since he gave the first two negative reviews. Siskel nearly fell out of his chair in disbelief.
Tell me how you feel about this, because this is never going to happen. This hypothetical is impossible. But how would you have felt about it if they cast a teenaged Macaulay Culkin to make a Home Alone sequel in which he throws a house party and it goes terribly wrong?
You mean like when I was the age of when it would have happened?
Sure.
I probably wouldn't have cared. I don't think it would have interested me that much.
I guess I'm glad in hindsight.
In hindsight, I'm glad that they didn't do that. I was always partial to the idea that it turned him into like a guy who builds like a house of horrors and he traps people in there, because he ends up being a sociopath. Because they make jokes about how he shows signs of sociopathy.
He's low-key Jigsaw.
Yeah, that is a famous conspiracy theory that he's secretly Jigsaw because his character shows elements of sociopathy, mainly like lying about his emotions to try and blackmail, to try to like guilt his mom into giving him stuff, and he's kind of indifferent to the suffering of others and all of that.
Yeah.
Plus, he's kind of a mechanical genius when you really think about it. He's probably an A student.
An engineer.
Yeah.
Man Bear Cow TV said the love
I'm assuming Guru. Yeah, with Mike Myers.
Guru with Mike Myers is worth it for Justin Timberlake's character, a hockey goalie named Jacques Lecoq Grande. LOL.
I'm sure it's pronounced differently.
I have never seen it, so I
never saw Love Guru. One more from Jewish AF.
Of Christendom, forcing a woman to bring dinner is just marriage. Well, yeah, I guess DoorDash is an insufficient facsimile of that.
I was also partial to the idea of remaking Home Alone, but you just recast Macaulay Culkin and you don't acknowledge that he's in his 40s, and you just play it as if he's a kid.
He would do it.
Yeah.
I bet he would.
Brenda Song can be in it. She can play one of the Wet Bandits in that one. She can be one of the bad guys.
That would be great.
Broody Gambit on Rumble says, how long are these concerts? I've made 8-hour road trips in one go without stopping and played the endless set list in Rock Band 1 and 2. They just can't hold it.
Hold on.
I mean, you probably did damage to your insides, man.
Yeah, look, wearing an adult diaper to a concert or soiling yourself at a concert, we disavow that. But I also would disavow not peeing for 8 hours. That sounds really unhealthy.
All right. Before we go, ladies and gentlemen, would you all please hit the like button on this episode? Subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you've not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share the episode out with everybody that you know, the people that you like, the people that you don't like. Everybody that you share it with gets us closer to more and more subscribers. So thank you guys so much for that. We want to get the word out on the show. Also, just to remember, as I will keep reiterating this week, we are off Thursday and Friday, but stay tuned. There will be clips and stuff coming out. We would love it if you would go and check those out as well. All right, Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram. That is Mary Archived. Or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
All right. If you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you want to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That is a great way to help us out. If you want to follow us on social media, Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. I will be on Timcast IRL tonight, so you can tune in for that if you care about politics at all, which I'm sure there are some of you here that do. We have a couple more super chats. One from Shane H. Wilder, who says Brett wants Macaulay Culkin to become H.H. Holmes, which is not somebody that I recognize, but it says it's got something to do with what really happened to H.H. Holmes' Murder Castle Hotel, which sounds interesting. And then we have another one from 200 Watt Studios, says Home Alone 5 should be Macaulay Culkin living off the grid in the forest.
He just becomes Uncle Ted.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see you then. Bye. Everybody.